DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time to welcome Tim LaComb back to the show. Former BYU assistant basketball coach, worked for Rick Majerus at the U, and now on the Jazz pre-half and post-game shows. Tim, good morning.
I think you should add to that Aggie fill-in with Scotty Gerard.
Now that you've called a game in Logan.
I was in Logan last night. It was awesome. I try to get up there as, for a game most years. I didn't last year, but Spencer was gone, and I filled in. It was a packed house and basically a pretty demonstrative win by the Ags.
I was talking with Scotty about this, doing a hit on his show, and they've had a number of coaches run through there as they go on to get higher-paying jobs. And when I watch the Aggies play, I believe that of the ones that they've had recently, I can make a strong argument that Calhoun is the best. The way he gets his team to play, they're a fun team to watch. I don't know what's going to happen if he's going to receive big money offers, but in my mind, he is runaway coach of the year in the Mountain West.
Totally agree with all that. I had a chance to watch him. I should say work, but it was run. The dude's got crazy energy up and down the sideline. Certainly really passionate, but his teams, what I look for is, you can tell a lot about a coach by the way his teams play, and they're detailed, they're intense, very intense, and they share the ball. Like it's second nature. They had 6 or 7 possessions last night where they could have easily taken a shot, and they just made the extra pass for an easier one. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think he does a great job, and it was awesome to be up there to watch his team play.
There's a little bit of a debate in college basketball right now, watching Darren Peterson miss half the games, and watching BYU, who's got A.J. DeBonsa, who's really, really good, but I think everybody around the Cougar program wishes they had a little more depth right now. If you're building a team going forward, as soon as, next year or two, would you rather have one? The question I saw posed was, would you rather have a $3 million player in Peterson, if that is indeed his number, or 3 $1 million players who are all bought in? If you were building a team, Tim, and you're not, you're doing Jazz pre, half, and post, but if you got hired and build a team, which way would you go?
Well, the correct answer in that regard is every guy's going to go with the better player and feel like they can change him, right? They feel like they can make him what he needs to be, or, bring out what you need as a coach. But the reality is, I think there's probably somewhere in the middle. And I think this NIL process is interesting because everybody just instantly went to pools they couldn't fish in prior, and I used to look at recruiting like pools and, streams where you go fish, and you've got to have the places you get your, where you get your haul, and, you meet new people and they introduce you to new things. And, but at the end of the day, I think rosters need to be thoughtfully constructed. And I think in the early era of NIL, it's been like, oh wait, we can get him too. Sweet. Throw him in, I think there needs to be more thought given to roles, because basketball is a team sport that depends on guys to do their job. And the biggest fight you have as a coach is to get guys to do their job. That's what you're doing all the time. So it just makes sense to me that you would bring guys in specific to some of the roles that you need.
You're going to be in the Marriott Center Saturday night?
I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, I thought you might be. They're retiring Jimmer Fredette's jersey and all that number, and go back. And that was an unbelievable time to see what he did. And you were right there. You were courtside for all that stuff. And did you guys, when did you know, wow, or did you even know it? Did it have to happen? Because what a story that was.
It really was, man. And honestly, I was fortunate because I came in his freshman year. So, his first year there was my first year there. And, we as a staff certainly knew he was talented, but his freshman year, he didn't start a game. So
Did not. He started the second half against Texas A&M in the NCAA tournament, though. In Anaheim.
Which caused all sorts of issues, but that's a whole other story.
I was there.
Okay. No, but I think the other thing is, that's what's beautiful about Jimmer's story. There wasn't anything contrived. There wasn't anything predetermined. It all kind of happened. And in a day and age where a guy shows up, in college and he's expecting a big check in 40 minutes a game as a freshman, that's not how this thing works. You got to go earn it. And, so the cool part is Jimmer went through that. And then after year one, didn't have a bone in his body that talked about transferring. He came in with Coach, and I'll never forget, Coach called me in after the meeting, and he's like, Jimmer came in here with a list of things. He wants to be our point guard next year. These are the things he wants to do. So it was all proactive stuff, not reactive. And then really, it was his junior year when, I guess one of his first games was his sophomore year in San Diego. He had a big second half, and we came back from a huge deficit to beat them. And then Arizona stands out his junior year where he went crazy. And we had all those guys in the Ryan Hatch Fiesta Bowl jackets in tears because we just demolished their beloved Bears, Bear Down boys. And then certainly it all came to a head in Jimmer Mania, right? And pulling up to hotels, seeing literally 500 people in the portico of the hotel waiting to get something signed and having to sneak Jimmer off the back of the bus, So it's just awesome memories. But as good as Jimmer was, guys, the team was that good too. Like Jackson and Emery made it possible for Jimmer to be Jimmer. No hard sock. You go down the line, everybody was bought in. And, that's why Jimmer was great, and that's why the team was great.
It's funny you mentioned those guys, and Dave Rose always talked about program guys, and you're always trying to get guys to get in a program and then over the course of 3 or 4 years really develop into something. I don't think any of the 4 guys you mentioned made a big splash early on in their career. Maybe Emery did because he could defend, so maybe I'm not remembering it right. But I'm curious in this era how much space there is for that. Because there isn't money for everybody and money to develop a whole roster. And I'm curious what these coaches are doing in this regard. And maybe you just buy 8 players every year, and then that's just the way it's going to work for the top 100 teams that if they're not in the NCAA tournament, they're at least competing for it, 1 or 2 times every 3 or 4 years. And I'm wondering if go get your starters and you got your subs, but the other spots that are on the roster – what about development guys? And what about the programs at the top? I hate to say developing minor leagues, but, you're talking to guys who went to UCSB in northern Arizona, so we kind of know our place in the universe here. But saying to high school kids, hey, here's 5 guys you can go play for that will develop you, and we will look at you when you're sophomores and juniors. I've already been watching you for 2, 3, 4 years. I'm not going to stop. The door's open. This is how college basketball works now. There is a considerable amount of angst around the sport, especially here where people used to watching local kids go to local schools, about how those kids are getting shut out. And coaches can get pushback on that. And I'm wondering if this is a way to, A, manage the situation, and B, develop guys so you don't have to pay everybody top dollar coming off the market. You're going to pay them something. What do you think about that whole process? Because with these new rules, everybody's got to figure it out. And I think Utah State is kind of going down this road, and it makes sense to me.
Well, what I think, Calhoun was pretty thoughtful. There have been a lot of really good teams through the history of Utah State. And what's crazy as I sat there last night is they have not messed with the formula that made them great. What this has allowed them to do is maybe go out and get a little higher level top tier player. But like the makeup of that team, you got a kid who is beloved, right? Local kid who's beloved, and Mason Bolslove. You've got Drake. You got Drake, point guard. And then you've got
Templin's in his 3rd year in the program.
Templin, Carson. That's who I was thinking of. Carson Templin's from Dallas. They've had a guy like Templin. Go down the list. Just a rugged, big, of varying ability, but just plays their butt off. Brady Jardine through the years. Justin Bean. I saw Gary Wilkinson last night. I mean, so what I'm saying is I think Utah State was at least gave the model of success there some play, and I think everybody else has just been like, oh my gosh, we can go get a 3-star for $1 million on the end of our bench. Boy, that's exciting. And to me, you're missing the mark. Development. I'm watching it in the NBA. I watch a guy like Colin Gillespie for 2 years just bust his tail an hour before the game with workout guys. And lo and behold, guess what? Give him the opportunity. The guy was ready, and he's playing great basketball in the NBA. I think you can do the same thing, and I think it's efficient. If you want to be efficient and not just throw money all over the place. And it brings in relative. Like, it's hard for me sometimes to watch local teams play when they don't have any local guys on the team. And I know that sounds stupid, but I do think to get people bought in, all the way interested, I think there's going to be some tweaking for sure.
The Jazz there with that unique form of tanking the other night, not playing the guys in the fourth quarter, going with the kids, has been the rage of talk in pundits and talk shows and whatnot. And I think the Jazz should just thumb their nose at these people and continue, in fact, even be more of a way to tank, because there's too much at stake and no one's going to help you. You got to do it yourself, and this is the way to go. Your response to all this outrage that seems selective.
It is selective, PK, and it's ridiculous. The number of teams I've seen through the years tank in big markets, and nobody's said a thing other than, wow, what if they get this guy? It's a little bit rich for my blood, and I do think it's probably more driven for clicks. They want somebody to pick on. But at the end of the day, if you look at what the Jazz are doing, it's pre-training camp, and they've got 30-plus games to tinker and to try lineups and to let guys, who've never finished games, finish games, and to get the new guys acclimated to Utah. So, the league can think what they want, and obviously by taking those guys out the first night, they lost. The second night, they won. So, deal with it, I guess, is my point. We're close to the end. This would be like penalizing drivers, the 100th driver in Utah that tailgates me, like right now. People don't know how to drive here. But, they should get an opportunity. I just think at the end of the day, this whole thing is fabricated for clicks. And Jazz, keep your head down to what you're doing. Because, at the end of the day, through this whole process, you developed a whole lot of guys.
Okay, so I think that's a problem here over the last 28 games. There's a quarter of the Jazz schedule left against teams that are truly awful, right? The Kings, the Pelicans, the Pacers, Wizards, Nets. There's some really bad teams out there. And there's some other teams who are maybe have a little more hope, but I don't think Dallas and Memphis are going to sprint to the finish line. I'm not convinced the Bucks and Bulls will either. If they're sitting guys in Sacramento, it looks like they're going to sit pretty much everybody that any fan going to the game could name, right? Sabonis isn't playing. Westbrook isn't playing. They're sitting 5 or 6 guys. Back to your point about player development. You've watched Ace Bailey work. You've watched Collier work. You've watched Sensabaugh work. I think these teams that are coming in, combined with the guys that they're going to sit, I think those 3 guys can win games down the stretch that the Jazz do not want to win if they're going to hold on to that draft pick. I think that they're going to need to sit these guys in the final 28 games. Am I up in the night?
We're actually working on an initiative at the Jazz. It's join DJ and PK as 3 other starters for the Jazz for a 10-game contract. And we're going to roll you guys out there with 3 listeners, and we're going to see what we can do as an organization to protect the pick. Okay. No, I hear you. And it's something that definitely is a game within the game, but at the end of the day, you've got Danny Ainge, Austin Ainge, those guys running things. And I would assume it probably wouldn't go to the length of DJ and PK and TLC in the starting lineup, but maybe something close to that by the end. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, they have no choice, man. If they run out their guys and play them 30 minutes a game, they got 28 games? They're winning 14 of them at least.
And my favorite part of that, I have had to sit through the last 3 or 4 years, just constantly barrage how bad the Jazz draft picks are, and how they can't do this or they can't do that. And again, it comes back to development, which is real, which has taken place here, and that's why this is even a discussion, because these guys have raised their level year after year, and that is going to be a good problem to have when the cellophane is off the top of the rim and we can actually shoot to score.
Yeah, it's coming.
Tim, we appreciate it as always.
You two guys, there was a movie that was popular in the video stores as a kid. I was too young because it was rated, but it was called Officer and Gentleman, and I think you two are both.
I actually saw that movie.
I would walk by that section and kind of peek over to see what's the stuff my mom doesn't. An Officer and Gentleman. The cover wasn't too. I was like, man, it's just the military. Why can't I watch that?
Yeah, there's a fight scene in a boxing ring. I haven't got anywhere else to go. People who saw the movie, they know the line.
Deborah, what was her name?
Deborah Winger.
Deborah
Winger was the love interest.
Yeah.
Deborah Winger.
Winger.
I have to say that your mom made the right decision. That was probably inappropriate for a lad of your young years to have seen some of the issues.
Wasn't Deborah Winger our gal in Footloose?
Was she?
Or am I thinking wrong?
I don't know.
I'm 55, so the wires have crossed at one point or another. I don't. But the reason I say that is I'm driving past Lehigh Roller Mills right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So give Footloose a shout out. I was a little kid when Paramount trucks pulled up into American Forks, Utah, right down on Main Street, and they filmed at the church and the house across the street. I had no idea what was going on, but it was really, really neat for that to happen in a small Utah town.
I thought Deborah Winger was the looking for love in all the wrong places gal.
I'm sure she was, but I don't know what that has to do with the movies.
Well, Urban Cowboy.
I think she was an Urban Cowboy.
Wasn't she the?
I never saw that, but I think she was.
She was the premier lead actress. Wasn't she?
This is something no one knows. Dave Rose's wife Cheryl was an extra in that show when he rode the horse out. I don't know at one point or another, but she was in that movie as an extra.
In Looking for Love, whatever it was called.
Yeah, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places with Robert Redford.
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy. It was down in St. George. They filmed a scene, and she was in it.
I thought I recognized her.
So there you go. Another movie trivia. What can I do while I'm going 75 and trying to avoid idiots?
Well, I was in a car scene in Chips once.
No way.
You don't know this story? Tell it, PK. It's a classic.
Dude, Ponch and John were like my running mates as kids.
Yes. We are in the city of San Fernando, which is in the San Fernando Valley over there in Los Angeles. And I'm sitting with my college roommate. I'll tell you who he is off the air. And he has this yellow Nova. And he's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And it's a 2-lane to turn left. And I look to my right next to me, is freaking Ponch and the other guy. And they're dressed up in their whole...
Ponch and John, come on.
What's really funny, it's a crazy story. Yeah, I mean, they're literally right next to me. I could talk to them, right? And it took me a second, like, are they filming a scene? And then I look, and then I see we go to make the left-hand turn, and as we're making the left-hand turn, the cameras are there. So they're filming it live, and it was an actual scene. I never watched the show because I think it came on Saturday nights, and, my junior year at ASU on Saturday nights.
On, man. Yeah.
He was pre-med.
But I went over to my sister's house, like in December. The semester was over, and it's a Saturday night, and she's got Chips on, and that was the very episode that came on, and I saw us in the yellow Nova getting ready to make the left-hand turn. So I was in Chips.
Now, the only thing that make that story better if it was a Champagne Supernova, and then we'd have it made. But good work, BK. You know what? You've been around greatness as long as I've known you.
Drove through a scene with Ponch and John.
How random, I guess is the word, I don't know, would that have been? That literally happened.
Jake's sitting back there saying, let's take the break.
That's what he said. He just said, let's wrap. Literally, those are his last. Let's wrap.
And you know what? I love that guy, by the way. Jake Hatch is a national treasure.
International.
So just want to get that out there.
There it is. All right, thanks, Tim. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, I love you guys.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. When we come back, everything you missed in this show coming up next.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
We've talked about, Colin Sexton going to Orlando or something like that. Maybe it's a bigger trade. Maybe it's a Lowry type of player.
Well, they need a point guard, and
They still need a point guard.
Is hairline their guy?
You find better physical traits to give somebody a nickname by, whether it's armpit, whether it's fingernails, or now hairline for Jalen Suggs. I'm glad you're not calling the guy you saw at daycare the other day flat face.
Oh, flat face. Hey,
I wonder where your daughter gets it.
Yeah, it's
I wonder
true.
where your daughter
True.
picked up.
Look how flat that guy's face is, Dad. By the way, in my defense as well, I'm not the one that noticed hairline.
Sure.
He went viral.
Sure. It became a staple.
Because people were clowning him for his hairline.
Fingernails.
Yeah, same with fingernails.
And same with armpit. His whole thing is he got into a fight with the people at ESPN because he didn't want to put a shirt on.
Well, that is my theory, but yeah.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Let's Slacker Radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider for ESPN, said what Utah is doing right now is messing around with the integrity of the NBA. We have a ton of feedback here. People are saying all kinds of stuff. The Spurs tank 3 years in a row. Nobody saw a thing, David says. We got multiple people calling out Philly for the process. Chris, as if the NBA had any integrity to mess around with in the first instance. And then there's Brian. They're not the only one doing it. And by the way, whatever happened to Chauncey Billups and the corrupt gambling, that sure got swept under the rug.
Yeah, they're distracting away from that.
Well, I think that goes through the process.
And the process moves slowly. Slowly.
Right. When I was in college, I dropped a guy and he sued me. We went through years.
I just shot PK a look. Stop. How about this? How about the most likely reason this got said is Bobby Marks is on TV and he's got to say something. And you said earlier, Kevin Graham says we all get, and we've all been guilty of this, we all get diarrhea of the mouth. He just got going and couldn't stop himself and blurted it out.
Yeah, but this is the latest. It's been a bunch.
There have been more than one person.
It's been gaining momentum.
Right. Yeah.
It's been all over the place.
So he gets asked about it because they're going through, okay, he's coming on for a segment.
It's
you
a
need
topic.
3, 4, 5 questions. He hits it, and then he...
The Jazz created a way of doing it that is unusual, and so you need something to talk about each day. I kind of feel their pain. So
one of the gripes about this, which is both the tanking where it overlaps with load management, is that people, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of fans pay to see stars. And so if you pay and you're only going to a game once or twice a year and you don't see the star, that hurts. I mean, we can remember Stockton and Malone talking about that because Sloan preached that to them, right?
They talked about it.
So, yes. So this method, as much as everyone complaining about it, maybe this is the kind of thing that should be encouraged in the offseason. At least the guys play. Get them out there for 20 minutes.
They played over 25 minutes. Both their two best players. George is hurt. We understand that. He got hurt or re-hurt in Orlando, so he's not available for Miami. No problem.
That's fine. That's a real injury.
But the other two, the best front court guys they got, and Nurkic, who's the third best, they all played more than half the game.
So maybe that needs to be the model going forward.
The game gets super exciting down the end.
Yeah.
Even though two teams going nowhere, Miami's going nowhere. Spoelstra, man, he's the greatest. Unfortunately, he had LeBron and Dwayne Wade, and they're one game above 500. But it was a fun game. Ace Bailey, you don't want to see Ace Bailey do it? Man, I guess if you're Miami, you don't. But on our side, over here, us, watching Ace Bailey look like, hey, man, the top guys are out. I can really show my stuff. That's exciting, and it's against real competition. They don't face real competition. The Summer League is not real NBA competition. That's just a fact. And they blow up the Summer League and all, whatever, fine, do that, I don't care. But it's not real competition. And here it is. Referees, everything, the score, everything counts. And Bailey doing his thing was very impressive. Sensabaugh hitting a big shot. Again, and so Will Hardy didn't call a timeout. I'm telling you, if Popovich wouldn't have called a timeout in that same situation, it would have been genius. Because he never really got criticized for doing anything or saying anything. Will Hardy doesn't call a timeout, and they don't get off a good shot, and they lose. Okay, but I just don't, on the face, even if they weren't tanking, I think it's a cool idea to get better evaluations of all your young players. And because I would argue, and I have to go through and check it out, the last 3 years, they have more first-round draft choices on their roster probably than anybody.
Yeah, they're loaded with them.
And counting Filipowski, who was essentially a first-round draft choice. What was he, first or second in the second round? And he's already established himself, good enough to be a first-rounder, so it's only a technicality that he isn't. And you want to see these guys. What do you have? Because I know I got Marketing, I got Jackson. Mm-hmm. Proven commodities right there, man. No doubt about it. But I need more than two. So who do I want to keep along with them? And especially with salaries and everything, and how that the salary cap and the chart is a big old puzzle that you got to negotiate and handle in proper manner.
Yeah, and that has gotten very tight with this acquisition of Jaren Jackson Jr. You don't get a player his size, length, skill, accomplishment in the prime of his career without paying the big money.
Exactly.
So $50 million, now there's not a lot of room. And how are you going to squeeze Kessler in? How are you going to squeeze Keontae George in? They're going to have to be signed in consecutive summers here. And then you got to build a team around them and the depth and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And is Bobby Marks going to help the Jazz do that? Is any of these other people who are out there criticizing, are they going to help the Jazz negotiate and how to handle the salary cap? How's that going to work?
Obviously not. Obviously not. By the way, excellent recall by you on Filipowski. He was 32. And earlier I thought it was 8 or 9 guys. It was 7 draft picks they had on the roster in 3 years. But nonetheless, that's got to be up there in the NBA. I just don't think that many teams had the multiple years with 3 picks. Yeah, right. And now that is down now because they moved on with Taylor Hendricks went into that deal. So
right, but they still got 5, and you play 5.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
now's the time.
George Sensabaugh, who was 28th pick 3 years ago, Filipowski and Collier and Williams, who were all the picks 2 years ago, and Ace Bailey. That's largely the lineup they're playing down the stretch. I mean, they sub a little bit, but those 5 guys, and
plus
they
got 3 new guys, right, in the trade.
Yes.
We know what Jackson is.
What are you going to do
with
the
other 2 guys?
Yeah,
what are they about?
What are you going to do with contracts?
So now we're up to 7. We're up to half the roster is 22 or younger or brand new and only been on the team for a week. And they don't deserve an opportunity to evaluate them? And that shatters the integrity of the league?
And the Spurs just drafted 1st, 2nd, and 4th. I mean, come on. What do you do? Wemby just went for 40 against the Lakers. I mean, not all of the Lakers because they held all their big names out with injuries of one variety or another. Doncic with a hamstring, LeBron with a foot, Reeves left calf injury management, and Ayton with a knee. And Marcus Smart
tanked to get Wembanyama, and it was okay because they sucked naturally. But before they were sitting guys, it's been done forever.
30 years back to Duncan.
Come on, man.
BYU snapped their 4-game losing streak. They beat Baylor 99-94. So defense was optional. The last 5 minutes, they were slightly out of their mind. I guess they thought it was over, and it wasn't. They held on.
When has BYU ever been a defensive program built on defense?
Steve Cleveland.
You're going back 30 years, if that's the case.
I'm going back 25, but I get your point. Steve Cleveland, when they got good in like 2000, 2001, those teams legitimately, yes.
Next year is his 30th year.
Right, from when he got hired. Yeah, they weren't good when they got hired. But no, I get your point. And Dave Rose up the tempo. That was a lot of run and gun basketball. They were there to outscore people.
Yeah, Dave Rose said he valued guys who could score.
Yep.
And until they got in the West Coast, it worked.
But for a team that wants to go deep in the NCAA tournament and you're giving up 94 to Baylor, that's not a good sign. This is a team that it just isn't going to make the NCAA tournament.
But a bunch of points there, I'd say at least 10 were right at the end.
I agree.
When they were just driving to the basket, and BYU is rarely interested in defense, and they weren't interested in defense at all at that point.
I thought they were interested in defense the last 6 or 7 minutes of the first half.
They had to get back in the game.
They did. They were down 12. And then they came out at the start of the half, and I thought they were playing really good basketball for 15 minutes. I think when you add it up, it was like a 62-33 run or something like that. I mean, they were really good on the road, conference game. Granted, bottom end of the conference, but nonetheless, they were just making good decisions, playing hard.
Baylor, though. The bottom of the conference sounds like they're not any good. I would disagree on that.
Okay.
They got a first-round draft choice on their team. Each team has a first-round draft choice.
They're not without talent, but they are 3-9. I think the biggest story is BYU just had to win, and they did. It does matter how it looks. I don't want to completely dismiss that, but they had to leave Waco with a win. You can't be losing 5 in a row.
I agree.
Yeah.
The NBA doesn't scout guys and, he's a defensive guy. We're going to take. If Devonta goes number 1, 2, or 3, it's because of his offense.
Yeah, I know. They do scout guys defensively, but that comes later.
Right, it comes later.
That's for other people, not the people who can put it. Now, ultimately, if he goes somewhere and he's the guy, there are going to be people telling him, you know why MJ was MJ, you know why Kobe was Kobe? Because they did care a lot about both ends of the floor. However, there's plenty of examples. You can go to Luka Doncic right now.
AJ, if you could ever be the 2 best players ever at your position.
These guys who generationally dominated the game. But he wants to generationally dominate the game.
What?
He wants to be a generationally dominant player.
Okay, and we'll see.
And he's so gifted offensively. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
Very gifted.
Yeah.
But this is the standard. And I get if he only gets 80% of those guys' standards, he's going to have
80% of those two?
He'd have an awesome career. Awesome. I mean, there was no question who the player of the 90s. I don't think there's a question about the GOAT. I get other people arguing. But, like, who was the player of the 90s? Who was the player of the 2000s? Those two guys' names are going to come flying out of people's mouths so fast.
I mean, whenever I'm done, if you can get 80% of what I gave you, you're going to have a massive hit radio show.
Oh, if only. Only.
But that's ridiculous.
I'm really just looking for, like, 70 or 75. 80 seems too much.
Well, you're not going to be here because they're going to get rid of you.
Ha! Probably true. Wouldn't be the first people.
So let's see what they can do. They got the win. This is the way they play, and we're too far along now to expect anything different. But they can board. Get guys in there and board. And Maup getting 10 and Saunders getting 9. That's significant.
Agreed. Don't know if they win the game without that. That's a lot of possessions. It's either extra shots for you or it's extra shots for them. Those are a big, big deal.
So I'll take it, and they should win Saturday with Jimmer and a celebration. And I'm sure Tim LaComb's going to be there, and Dave Rose is going to be there, and Hatback and DA are going to be there, I would think, unless they got to go.
I would assume everybody.
Meetings.
Yeah. Everybody who can be will be. It'll be a celebration.
Right. I'm still waiting for Jimmer to invite me.
Not going to happen.
Fetch. Maybe his father-in-law, Rich. He's contacted
There's a
me
chance.
a few times.
Yeah. Lean on Rich.
Over there in Denver.
Last thing, Big 12 commissioner, game-changing. He did an interview this weekend. They were pumping it out on social media. Game-changing announcement Tuesday, which then got pushed back. Game-changing announcement Wednesday. We were speculating about what that could be. Yuck, you found it. You want to tell the people what it is? It just happened, 30, 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, so they are partnering with the company that did the LED lit up court for the NBA All-Star Game a few years back.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, they're going to play the Big 12 men's and women's basketball tournament on a court like that. It'll have interaction, live graphics, shot charts right there on the court.
Oh man, hey, you want to get some attention in between games? You invite in sessions. You get Nice Rabbit in there and have him do a show.
Nice Rabbit.
Yeah.
Do you know where that name came from?
A.K.A.
I just heard that story.
Nice rabbit? I made it up.
No, Bad Bunny.
I was
know
like,
where
what are
Nice
you talking about? We
know
literally
where
just came out
Nice
of Monday's
Rabbit
show.
came from. I just heard the Bad Bunny is because he had to be in some school play, and grandma and mom wanted like a picture of him or whatever, and he wanted no part of this stupid rabbit costume and this stupid play and all that, and he made a face, and when they saw the photo, oh, you're a Bad Bunny, and it's stuck. What a crazy
Where would
backstory.
he be without that?
I know. When we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK. We are brought to you in part by Tim Dolly. And join Scotty G Friday. He's going to be at Tim Dolly Mazda, Southtown. 107-85 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy on Friday from noon until 3. Time for your feedback. Travis Hansen, friend of the show, joins us on social media. Brian Santiago, that'd be BYUAD. Brian Santiago and I went to Orlando recently to see this firsthand, referencing the new court. The technology is next level. The Big 12 continues to lead, embracing innovation, elevating the game, and creating an experience for student athletes and fans that's truly different. Excited for what's ahead. The court will be used for the men's and women's basketball tournaments.
Okay,
So
he's seen it. I haven't seen it.
Right. So there you go.
But
cool
good.
looking floor.
I think the product sells itself.
Mm-hmm. Big 12 basketball is very good.
Yeah, and that's why I will watch. And plus,
Right.
we'll have local teams in it. But if there's other stuff that gets fans excited, I've said this a million times. I don't need cheerleaders. I don't need dancers. I don't need mascots. But people like it. It's an entertainment experience. And that's where that's got to be your mindset when it comes to this. It's an entertainment experience, whether it's a movie, it's a concert, whatever it might be, a light show. And you have to view it from that perspective to bring as many people in as you possibly can. That's why I support this. It may be for me a big who cares, but that's just me. And maybe it'll be, wow, this is awesome. Way to go, guys.
Halftime shows, rebuilding the exterior around arenas, what they do during timeouts, how you get at the college level, how you get students in a group to make noise and energize a building. All that stuff matters to somebody.
Yeah, we had
even if it doesn't matter to you.
Dale Murphy, and he was talking about the battery outside of the Atlanta ballparks, Braves ballpark. That's awesome.
And it's clear that we're going to have something along those lines here.
Yes. I couldn't have been more impressed when I went to see the Braves play, and it was a Saturday, and the game started around like 2 or 3.
And he pointed out you don't share that money. And for what should be, you would think, a smaller market and all that, you know, they're not gonna be matching Dodger Yankee TV revenue. So what do you do? What do you do to generate revenue?
Right.
You got to do the whole neighborhood.
And that was sensational, and that was at a high level of fan experience I had. It was so big, they had 2 or 3 bands spread out that they weren't conflicting with each other. And we hung out there for like 2-3 hours afterward.
Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider for ESPN, said what Utah is doing right now is messing around with the integrity of the NBA. Do you agree? Paul speaks for a lot of people. It's a garbage analysis. Utah's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You can't question the team's integrity when it's standing by its players. They're playing everyone, creating chemistry while assessing the true value of players that otherwise would see very limited minutes. Winning or losing with the bench can only lead to dividends in the long run.
I think that I'm okay with Marks talking about tanking, but singling out a team for damaging the integrity of the league, that's too strong.
It's too strong. There's too many teams that have been hip deep in this. Oklahoma, San Antonio,
Seattle, San Francisco,
Philadelphia. Certainly the Warriors. Yes, the Golden State Warriors. Once upon a time, epic tanking story there. There is a long, long line.
I remember the Fort Wayne team in the 50s.
And after the Fort Wayne Pistons?
The Buffalo Braves.
Ooh, old school.
Yeah.
They're the LA Clippers now, people.
The Kentucky Colonels.
They don't exist anymore, and they should. That was awesome. Tremendous ABA nickname. Phenomenal. We're all done.
The Conquistadors.
Briefly, a San Diego team. It's San Diego Conquistadors. Coming up next, it's Ben right here on The Zone.